Alrighty, welcome everyone for early morning with Teeaboo. Yeah, it's early morning with Teeaboo. It's super early, and I'm Teeaboo. It's 1:40 a.m. and I just woke up. Yeah, just woke up. I'll tell you what happened. Last night, I'm just gonna call it last night, even though it's tonight. I finished rendering out and uploading my massive portion of videos for Saturdays. And I got all set up to watch the next Ginga Eiyuu Densetsu. This was at like 6:30 p.m. Got all set up to watch Ginga Eiyuu Densetsu. I had just had dinner. And I just sort of went like this. And I just started to drift. Just started to drift off. So I sort of clambered out of my chair and lay down on top of my bed. And I fell asleep. Fell asleep for like 3 hours or so. So I woke up in the 8s. 8 something. It was almost 9. I woke up. I was still really tired. So I like puttered for a little bit. I drank some water because I get dehydrated at night. Still chugging some water. Drank some water. Climbed back into bed. And fell asleep. And then I woke up at like 1:15. I spent about 20 minutes laying in bed like, alright, am I gonna fall back asleep? And then I realized that I wasn't, so there's no reason to stay in bed. Yeah. So this is Quiet Hour. This has happened to me a few times in the past. It's a combination of factors. Mostly, I think I was just really tired. I've been running full steam for the last couple of days, and with the 1,000 subs vid and getting stuff out too late at night, I was just messing with my sleep schedule, and this is the REM rebound from that. But it's also a really lovely time. I really like this time of the evening, and I used to, in another life for Teeaboo, I used to stay up really late, and what would happen would be that my circadian rhythm was off with the 24-hour clock, especially in the winter, and we're coming on to winter right now, so maybe it'll happen again this year. It'll be interesting. My circadian rhythm is off with the 24-hour clock, so I would continuously, my rhythm would get later and later and later and later. And then I would get to the point where I would just decide to reset by pulling an all-nighter. This was in college, so normally what I would do is I would smoke a shitload of weed all night. And I would just go outside and I would walk around, listen to music and walk around and actually dance around, literally dance around the empty town. My college was in just a beautiful, beautiful little town. So I'd walk around in the snow and whatever. Listen to music, jam out. Have a nice night. And then go to whatever morning classes I had, and then crash. And that would sort of reset me. This time it wasn't intentional at all, but I'm awake now, and I'm fully awake. And I feel really good. I feel so great. when this happens, I feel very peaceful. Very peaceful. And I've done some research on it, and there are some scholars who believe that biphasic sleep is our natural mode of being, that our ancestors would, without exposure to artificial light, would wake in the middle of the night and stay up for a few hours, and frequently use that time to pray, converse with neighbors, and there are indications, unproven indications, that a lot of polymaths, a lot of well-known, famous poets and writers and figures and people like that would operate on a biphasic sleep schedule and would choose to use this period of the night when they would naturally wake up after their first sleep for writing or poetry or creative acts. I don't know about that. I don't put much stock into it. If anything, it seems to me more like a new age justification for doing weird stuff to your sleep schedule. Kind of like, what's it called? Uberman sleep cycle and polyphasic sleep. Kind of like that. But regardless, it has happened to me a few times, and when it does happen, it's a really interesting time of evening. It feels very different. But it is late night. Or early morning, whatever. And so I'm going to start with Kabaneri, episode 2. And then once that's done, we'll see if I want to get into the serious things for the day, because it's Sunday, and well, Sangatsu and Girls Last Tour. Actually, you know what? I don't feel like watching Kabaneri. I just don't feel like watching Kabaneri right now. It's the antithesis of the calm feeling that I have right now. Right now, I feel like Girls Last Tour. You know? I feel like the quiet, peaceful, introspective feeling of that show. So fuck it. Yeah, fuck that. Fuck Kabaneri. Let's watch Girls Last Tour. I just feel like I'll be more in tune with that than with dumb action bullshit. So this was gonna be Kabaneri, but instead it's gonna be Shoujo Shumatsu Ryoko? Doesn't matter. Girls Last Tour. Yeah, let's do that instead. Let's do that instead. Let me go and find it. What episode are we on? Let me go back through them. Episode 4. Okay, episode 4 is the temple. Episode 5 then is the music, right? Yeah. The dreams and the music. Which means that we're on episode 6, right? Okay. So, let's get into Girls Last Tour, episode 6. I'm so cozy. Yeah, this show is cozy. If you like this content, like this content. If you want more of this content, sub to this content. If you want to make sure that you get the content you're subbed for, ring the bell. If you really like this content and or you want the full picture-in-picture video, Patreon. It exists. Let's get into Girls Last Tour, episode 6. If you're watching the timer-based version, the beep beep timer for the countdown will go here. Is their bike broken? Yes, it is. Attitude contrast. What are all of these giant I-beams? Wow. No, she's just Moo. That was a plane. Did you see that? There's a plane. Is it an RC plane? Yeah. Got a gun, yep. So, who are you? Oh, she's that character. Glasses, focused, character, archetype. Messy hair, librarian type. Totally focused. This sound design is amazing. What? Hello. getting along. Oh. That's ominous. Does she want them to fly in it? I couldn't tell how big it was. Is there a trapdoor? Oh, nope. I'm gonna trust this person. I feel like trusting them. I feel like we've been slightly misled a couple of times. But she's trustworthy. Yeah. Do you have a bunk bed? Ration production facility? What does it produce them out of? But is there a stockpile? Enough rations to last you and G? Ah, she does want them to fly in it. Wow, what an interesting design. Wow. Potato. So this is a potato. Had the blueprints. Wow. And she wanted to. Wow. Why not? But if you don't try... This episode is about hopelessness. Who knows? Neither do we. Maybe that's okay. What do you hope to find? Yes. Thank you for telling me what this song is. I listened to it a few times. This was the right decision to watch this. Really driving that home, huh? Yeah. Here we go. arigato. These are potatoes. None. Oh, I didn't see the date. Let me timestamp that. Wow. Of course it'll work. Parachute. Was waiting for it. You don't understand until you do it. The history. Yes. That's it, right? Okay, so the only thing that I want to look at is the timestamp. Okay, and then I need to find... One of you commented the last timestamp, so let me find that. Bear with me. I just want to know how much time has passed. There we go. It was the Dorikin 86. Thank you. Year, month, day, time. August 6th, 32:30 at 1:09 p.m. So 2 months have passed. A little bit more. Almost 3. So it's October 25th at 11:24 a.m. Okay. Okay, perfect. Perfect. So they probably would have been running out of food by this point. This episode was not not incredibly subtle with the primary theme, which was hopelessness. And as with most of the major thematic elements that we've addressed over the course of this show, you and Chi have very different ways of dealing with it, very different ways of interacting with the theme. In this case, it's hopelessness, and Chi is pragmatic. She is trying to succeed, trying to fix the problem. And because she's trying in that way, she's set up this dichotomy. Hope is when things are going well, and hopelessness is when things go badly and don't go the way that you want. And when you set things up like that, you fall into one or the other. You, on the other hand, has a moo perspective on it. Shikata nai perspective on it. And part of that is that she's just childish, but part of it is that she's sometimes more mature in a way. And I mean, that was basically the first thing that I wrote down this episode was, let's get along with the feeling of hopelessness. Because that is a hell of a line. Get along with the feeling of hopelessness. Revel in it. Just be at peace with it, right? It's lovely. And we again meet a character whose journey in the episode embodies that concept, that theme. She's taken on this, some would say, hopeless task, because the goal is so huge of creating a plane out of scrap metal, essentially. Why? Because it's something to do. Because it gives her somewhere to go. I had the blueprints. I had the materials. And so I did it. And she says her opinion on hopelessness, which is the third in their little harmony. True hopelessness is not having anywhere to go. True hopelessness is being stuck. And that's what she would have been if she hadn't been building the plane. She says we were so close to dying. If they hadn't found her, she wouldn't have gotten the plane done. They wouldn't have gotten food. But they did find her. The universe made it so. The writer made it so. And she has this goal to get to the other city. And it's likely that the other city is no different from this one. That it's just another ruined heap. But it's somewhere to go. The far shore. Another line from her. The most important thing is that someone is watching this moment. That it will be etched into the tail end of history. That's just beautiful. You might be the last pilot in human history. I was wondering if they were going to have it fail miserably. And they did. It failed, but it wasn't miserable. It was freeing. And that's how failure really works. We saw her hesitation before flicking the switch, and I'd like to think that in that moment, she was hesitating out of fear of failure, and then overcame it, and then failed. And when you're afraid of failure, you invoke failure. You invite it. When you hesitate, when you decide not to jump, you've already failed, you know? If at any point during the construction of this plane, or before takeoff or anything, she had decided, this is hopeless. This is hopeless. There's no way. Well, then she would have instantly failed. And so would every one of the people who created every one of the blueprints in the history of airplane development, from the Wright brothers up. If they had believed that it was impossible, they would have already failed from the outset. But they all tried, and a lot of people died trying. A lot of people. I mean, look into it. A lot of people died trying to make airplanes. Before and after the Wright brothers succeeded. But she tries. And it falls apart. But she survives. There's a little tension build-up release moment. Beautifully done. And then, once you fail, you feel so carefree. And the face that she makes is Yu's face. It's the way that she's designed when she's just enjoying herself, right? When she's just living in the moment. She's always just living in the moment. She's just like, that's the face that she makes as she's falling with the parachute. Smiling like you. Maybe she's getting along with it. Getting along with the feeling of hopelessness. Accepting what is for what is. I think this is my favorite episode so far. Nope, I know this is my favorite episode so far. Well, this is another line to add to the list of lines from this show that will really stick with me long after this show has otherwise faded into memory. The first one is, you don't need a reason, sometimes there are nice things, or there are nice things sometimes. The second one is, let's get along with the feeling of hopelessness. Beautiful. Beautiful. Just beautiful. That one means a lot. What did you think? I love the comments on these Girls Last Tour videos. You guys always let me know little things that I missed. Because there's so much to unpack in this show. But at the same time, I feel like something is lost when you try to analyze, right? This is a weird thing to say as somebody who's chosen to do analysis as like the thing that I'm doing. But when there's a piece of densely meaningful work, densely meaningful art, something is lost when you try to unpack it completely and explain it, right? It doesn't work like a flower blooming where it becomes more beautiful. Sometimes it does. With things like Evangelion, I would say. Evangelion is something that blooms in conversing about it and in interpreting it and digging into it. But something like this, it's almost better to just let it sit. Let it be. To just experience it and let others experience it, you know? That's what I try to do with this show, is just instead of trying to unpack what it's trying to do and the authorial intent and all that stuff, just talk about how it makes me feel so that I can share that with you. Because that's something that I feel like I can add to it without taking away from it. Let me know how I'm doing. But yeah, it's like explaining a joke, you know? It loses something. Zetsubouuu, 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 Zetsubouuu. Definitely my favorite episode so far, and I am definitely glad that I chose to watch this instead of Cabaneri or something like that. This is the right time for it. Feels good. Alright, I'm gonna wrap it up. I've been Teeaboo. This has been Girls Last Tour. Episode 6, right? Right? Yep. Episode 6. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. I really liked this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have, and I hope to catch you in the next one. Peace.